Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Brahma's prayer for creative energy and shloka number 22. Om is over. Aham atma atmanam dhataha. Aham atma atmanam dhataha. Prishtaha sanpreyashamasi. Prishtaha sanpreyasham api. Ato mai ratim korya. Dehadir yat krite priyaha. Aham atma atmanam dhataha. Aham atma atmanam dhataha. Prishtaha sanpreyasam api. Ato mai ratim korya. Dehadir yat krite priyaha. Aham atma atmanam dhataha. Prishtaha sanpreyasam api. Ato mai ratim korya. Dehadir yat krite priyaha.
Aham atmanam dhata. Prishtaha sanpreyasam api. Ato mai ratim kurya. Dehadir yat krite priyaha.
Aham atmanam dhataha.
Aham atmanam dhata.
Prishtaha sanpreyasam.
Prishtaha sanpreyasam api.
Ato mai ratim kurya.
Ato mai ratim kurya.
Dehadir yat krite priyaha.
Dehadir yat krite priyaha.
Aham, I
I am
am, Atma, the super soul. Atmanam,
Atmanam
of all other souls. Dhataha, director. Prishtaha, the dearest.
the dearest
Son,
Son,
being.
being,
Preyasam,
Preyasam,
of all dear things.
all dear things,
Api,
Api,
certainly.
certainly,
Ataha,
Ataha,
therefore.
therefore,
Mahi,
Mahi,
unto me.
unto me,
Ratim,
Ratim,
attachment.
attachment,
Korya,
Korea,
one should do.
one should do,
Deha adihi,
Deha,
the body and the mind.
body and mind,
Yat krite,
Yat Krite,
on whose account.
on whose account,
Priyaha,
Priyaha,
very dear.
very dear.
I am the super soul of every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross subtle bodies, but they should be attached to me only. I am the super soul
And the super soul
of every individual.
of every individual.
I am the supreme director
I am the supreme director
and the dearest.
and the dearest.
People are wrongly attached
People are only attached
to gross subtle bodies,
to the lost and subtle body.
but
But
they should be attached
they should be attached
to me only.
to me only.
Oh, sorry. अभी ठीक है. हरे कृष्ण सुप्रिया माता जी.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Prabhuji, we are not like Prabhuji.
Don't worry, some other way I made life. हाँ चलो.
Okay, thank you. But the Supreme Lord, the personality of Godhead, is the dearest in both the conditioned and liberated states. When a person does not know that the Lord is the only dearmost object, then he is in the conditioned state of life, and when one knows perfectly well that the Lord is the only dearmost object, he is considered to be liberated. There are degrees of knowing one's relationships with the Lord depending on the degree of realization as to why the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. The real reason is clearly stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.7, Mamai Vamsho Jiva Loke Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. The living entities are eternally parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The living entity is called the Atma and the Lord is called the Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahman and the Lord is called the Parabrahman or Parameshwara. Ishvaraha Parama Krishna. The conditioned souls who do not have self-realization accept the material body as the dearmost. The idea of dearmost is then spread all over the body, both concentrated and extended. The attachment for one's own body and its extensions, like children and relatives, is actually developed on the basis of the real living entity. As soon as the real living entity is out of the body, even the body of the most dearest son is no longer attractive. Therefore, the living spark or eternal part of the Supreme is the real basis of affection and not the body. Because the living entities are also parts of the all living entity, that supreme living entity is a factual basis of affection for all. One who has forgotten the basic principle of his love for everything has only flickering love because he is in Maya. The more one is affected by the principle of Maya, the more is detached from the basic principle of love. One cannot actually love anything unless he is fully developed in the loving service of the Lord. In the present verse, stress is given to focusing love upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The word Kurya is significant here. This means one must have it. It is just to stress that we must have more and more attachment to the principle of love. The influence of Maya is experienced by the part and parcel spiritual entity, but it cannot influence the super soul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers, accepting the influence of Maya on the living entity, want to become one with the Paramatma, but because they have no actual love for Paramatma, they remain ever trapped by the influence of Maya and are unable to approach the vicinity of Paramatma. This inability is due to the lack of affection for the Paramatma. A rich myself does not know how to utilize his wealth, and therefore, in spite of his being very rich, his miserly behavior keeps him everlastingly a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize wealth can quickly become a rich man, even with a small credit balance. The eyes and the sun are very intimately related because without the sunlight, the eyes are unable to see. But the other parts of the body, being attached to the sun as a source of warmth, take more advantage of the sun than do the eyes. Without possessing affection for the sun, the eyes cannot bear the rays of the sun. Or, in other words, such high eyes have no capacity to understand the utility of the sun's rays. Similarly, the empiric philosophers, despite their theoretical knowledge of Brahman, cannot utilize the mercy of the Supreme Brahman because they lack affection. So, many impersonal philosophers remain everlastingly under the influence of Maya because although they indulge in theoretical knowledge of Brahman, they do not develop affection for Brahman, nor do they have any scope for development of affection because of their
Defective method.
because of their defective method. A devotee of the sun god, even though devoid of sun eyesight, can see the sun god as he is even from this planet, whereas one who is not a devotee of the sun cannot even bear the glaring sunlight. Similarly, by devotional service, even though one is not on the level of a gnani, one can see the personality of Godhead within himself due to his development of pure love. In all circumstances, one should try to develop love of Godhead, and that will solve all contending problems. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurubhe Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravan Pracharine Nirvisheshaya Shunyavadi Ashad Deshatahariне. Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasati Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Aham Atma Atmanam Dhataha Aham Atma Atmanam Dhataha Preshtasan Preyasam Api Ato Mei Ratim Korya Deha Deriya Krite Priyaha. I am the suppose all every individual. I am the supreme director and the dearest. People are wrongly attached to the gross subtle body, but they should be attached to me only. Very valuable information. People are attached to gross or subtle bodies, they should be attached to me only. So everybody in this world, very interesting, has some object of attraction. And why does it come? As I explaining, people have some aspiration in Bhoga and Aishwarya. Kama sita hada jnana jajante anya devataha. When the mind is stolen by strong material desires, the person becomes excited about success stories of some materialist. Because that is what success for him. Now you wanted a beautiful car, somebody has a big car, he is a big success story. You're very keen to read about, hear about, and somebody has, this is Aishwarya Bhog, some object of enjoyment, and somebody has it, he becomes success story, you're very worried, very excited when you meet him. How did you achieve it here? And as the mind is more and more attracted, distracted by variety of the sense enjoyment, we are ready to worship anybody, even a demon, to get these objects. That's what Bhagavad Gita says. Tamasic people, they go to worship ghosts, and Rasic person, they will go to worship demons. Anything they're ready. They should just get their object of enjoyment. So this is how it is actually. But Krishna is saying here, my dear child, if there is a object of attraction, it should be me. This is identified also by Prahlad Maharaj. He says, Prahlad says, Nate viduhu swartyatim Vishnu. They don't know the real selfishness is Vishnu. Now, if this is achieved, that Krishna is the real object of worship and the real selfishness is Krishna, Vishnu, then we can appreciate what the shloka is trying to say. See, anything you contemplate, anything you meditate, after some time, you develop attachment. Dhyayate vishaya sangaste shubhajayate From contemplation only attachment arises. So anything, you get involved over a period of time, you get attached. Originally, we don't have an attachment. Boy sees the girl, he doesn't know her. A stranger for him. After a few days, you are everything, I am everything. They speak like this. They develop attachment. But this attachment, is for the gross body. An attachment to the gross body is not being appreciated by Krishna. He says, no, you should be attached to me only. Sarvadharman parityaja mam ekam sharanam. Only me only. Manmana bho madhbhakto madhyaji mam namaskuru. Me only. Yad karosi yad juhosi yad dasi yad tapasya kante kurutta madarpada. So you see various angles Krishna is requesting us to focus on him only. Not anything else. There was Samudra Manthan, and Samudra Manthan and Lakshmi was born, and both the side, all the devatas and Danava, they dressed themselves very nicely because she came out looking for her husband. And all the devatas nicely ironed their clothes, put their hairs nicely, and they're waiting. If she'll accept Lakshmi, so beautiful. So various things came out of Samudra Manthan, one of the things came with Lakshmi also. And then here is Krishna, and she came, both devatas, Danavas rejected her and accepted Krishna and put Govinda there. So she doesn't make mistake. Even the great acharyas, they don't make mistake. They don't know where to give our love and attachment. Prabhupada therefore say, our religion means first, how do we put our focus on Krishna? How do you relate to Krishna? How do you become attached to Krishna? The rest will follow. Let us put foundation at the right place. The people generally have their foundation on material affairs and attachment to material affairs. Great Acharya also has attachment. Only object of attachment is Krishna. And our object of attachment is some material form. So what is actually the destination somebody is desiring? And what all is the present condition, what kind of attachments he has cultivated, shows the situation we are in. So everybody should introspect, say, yes, I want to reach Krishna's lotus feet and become pure devotee. But I can just not know. But I am attached to so many material affairs. How it will ultimately reach a situation that I do not have any attachment. Because if these strong attachments are there, then again birth will be taken. Correct? Birth will be taken. It will force us to take birth again. But then the question may be then why attachment to Krishna is natural. This is also mentioned in Krishna Leela book. All the cowherd boys every day used to go to play. And when they come back, all the mothers will be waiting to receive their child in the evening. Everybody used to hold their child, but the eyes were on Krishna. This is bewildering. Why people are so attached to Krishna? It is natural. Well, Shastra says, Krishna is the enchanter of the soul. So if you allow him to take possession of your heart, your life will be successful. Okay? I am Krishna is saying I am the dearest. If you allow Krishna to chiefly rule your heart and he becomes the object of your attachment, your life will become successful. So Krishna is Supreme Director. Then lastly, there is an important point Prabhupada is putting in this purport. The point being quoted that actually we are attached to a child, say we are attached to a child, generally people are very attached to small children. But then if the child is not alive, you are not attached to him any longer. So you are not attached actually to the body, You're attached to the soul in the child. Correct? The child is born dead. We don't get attached to that. And you're attached to the soul because actually the soul is part and parcel of Krishna. Just like, say, our own body. If there is a danger, first we save ourselves. दूसरे को भूल जाते हैं, अपनी जान बचाते हैं सब. Correct? True, that's natural. And why I am trying to protect myself, it is because myself is part and parcel of Krishna. So attachment to Krishna actually then transforms into attachment for. And that shows, essence shows that actually we are attached to Krishna, we are attached to our own body. Okay, so the beautiful statement like Krishna and the super soul in every living entity, supreme director and the dearest. Bhagavad Gita also Krishna says, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. Krishna is always wishing well for every living entity. We can't even imagine the love of Krishna for us. Always wishing well. But people, instead of loving Krishna, on one side of love, Krishna loves every living entity. But instead of loving Krishna, instead of getting attached to Krishna, we're attached to so many mundane forms. The forms itself are temporary, meaningless. The forms are temporary and they are just packet of stool and urine. What is your attachment? Meaningless. But that's all we are. So Prabhupada is saying the Supreme Lord is the dearest, not only in the conditioned state, also in the liberated state. He is the dearest object. Harer Godakshaptamatihi. When the person does not know that the Lord is only dearest object, only dearmost object, then he's in the conditioned state of life. The other things to get attached to within a condition. When he knows perfectly the Lord is the only dearmost object, is considered to be liberated. How beautiful. Okay? And the degrees of knowing our relationship with the Lord depending on degree of relation by the Supreme Lord is the dearmost object of every living being. So it triggers how many realizations we have. The real reason is that said in Bhagavad Mame Amsha. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna loves us. Just like a mother loves a child and just cannot be stopped. Similarly, Krishna loves every child, cannot be stopped. The living entities are part and parcel of Supreme Lord, just like mother feels child is part of the body. Similarly, Krishna also feels a part of his body. The living entity is called Atma, the Lord is called Paramatma. The living entity is called Brahma, the Lord is called Parabrahma. Parameshwara, Ishvara, Paramakrishna, Supreme Source. The conditions also do not have self-realization, access the mental body as the dearest. Very important to protect this body. The idea of the dearmost is then spread all over the body, both concerned and extend our relatives and all, because attached to my body, get attached to my relatives also. Attached to one body extension is called children relative, is actually developed on the basis of a real living entity. As soon as the real living entity is out of the body, even the body of the dearmost son is no longer attractive. Yes, we discuss it. Therefore, the living spark, eternal part of the Supreme, is the real basis of affection and not the body, because the living entity that also parts of the whole living entity, Supreme living entity, is the factual basis of affection for all. So we have affection, attachment over ourselves because we are part and parcel of Krishna. One must forget the basic principle of love for everything is only flickering love because it is Maya. The more one is affected by the principle of Maya, the more is detached from the basic principle of love. You cannot feel lust and love together. The more it detached from the principle of Maya, more it cannot. One cannot factually love anything unless he is fully developed in his loving service of the Lord. Okay, nice. In the present verse, stress is given to the focusing love on the Supreme Personality God, and that should be your focus, and that is what you do devotion service for. Every day the sadhana is there, we keep out everything else, we attentively chant because you want to develop attachment to Krishna. And the perfection is your love, how much love you develop. You're doing sadhana for so long time, you're doing everything, but have you developed attachment to Krishna? One must have it. Kuriyat means, this means one must have it. We must have more and more attachment to the principle of love. The influence of Maya is experienced by part and parcel living entity, but cannot influence the soul, the Paramatma. The Mayavadi philosophers accepting the influence of Maya, the living entity, want to become one with Paramatma. Because they have no actual love for Paramatma, attracted by the influence of Maya, unable to approach the vicinity of Paramatma. They have no love for the Lord. They just want to become the Lord, that's all. Crazy. This inability is due to the lack of affection for Paramatma. Rich miser does not know how to utilize wealth, therefore, in spite of being very rich, his miserly behavior steps keeps him everlasting a poor man. On the other hand, a person who knows how to utilize wealth properly can rich man. So, so a rich man, devotee is a rich man, he knows how to utilize his time properly and get attached more and more to Krishna. So in this way, it has been said very nicely. Okay, one more paragraph you can understand. The eye and the sun are very intimately related because without sunlight, the eyes are unable to see. Okay, eyes cannot see without sunlight. But the other parts of the body attached to the sun as a source of warmth take more attention to the sun than to the eyes. Without possessing affection for the sun, eyes cannot bear the rays of sun. Eyes have no capacity to utilize the sunlight. Similarly, empirical philosophers, despite the theoretical knowledge of Brahman, cannot utilize the most supreme Brahman because they lack affection. The devotee have affection for the Lord. They can appreciate the presence of the Lord. They can get more mercy from the Lord. So many empirical philosophers remain everlasting under the influence of Maya because although they indulge in theoretical knowledge, they do not have affection for the Brahman. Any score develop affection because their defective method. The method is wrong. A devotee of the sun god, even though devoid of eyesight, can see the sun god as he is even from this planet, whereas one who is not devoted to sun cannot bear the glaring sunlight. Similarly, by devotion service, even though one is not on the level of Jnani, one can see the personality God within himself with development of beyond love. So Bhakta is on the right track. Bhakti amavapi janati. Only through bhakti we can understand the Lord. Vedeshu dullavam adullavam atapakta. In all circumstances, one to try to develop love of Godhead, that will solve all contending problems. So all your problems can be solved if you understand this fact that only object of love is Krishna. And life will be solved. But till you can understand that, rotate through the universe. Hare Krishna, very beautiful purport. Hare Krishna, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
That's good knowledge.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So nice was today.